So as we were mentioning with the gi application, a lot of that translates pretty directly as far as the turtle position goes. We can look at the same kind of choke using applications of the different kinds of grips, the collar considerations, the different jacket material, mine, his. The first one that we wound up into was based off of me either sprawling or him tackling, and I had established this looping collar type grip for a guillotine modification here. Now, because it's going to be a little harder for me to finish this choke straight on from this direction, the way that we're going to look to do this, like we mentioned, was taking this grip, maintaining it here, but taking my other arm under and through and trying to find the back of my hand to the back of his neck. Now, because this is more of a self-defense application or a street fight application here, we have to kind of take into consideration the fact that he may be not only defending against the choke, fighting and resisting me, but he may also be trying to strike, maybe trying to stand back up and do some certain things that he might not do in more of a sportive or competitive context. But having said that, I also have the same ability to be doing that myself. So at any time I can maybe disengage. I can also look to throw knees from here like this. I can throw strikes here. Most effectively will probably be to open or close spaces that are going to help to enhance my grappling. So once I feel like the opening is there and available for me, I'm going to wing this secondary arm inside, tuck my head underneath Jared's body here this way, and then roll this direction. Again, still chasing here like this, taking this arm out of commission, reaching this hand toward the floor, and then going belly down to finish that choke. If we look at it from the other angle, where I have this looped inside, this may be the hood, if that was available, or it may be the collar. I have his head looped on one side of my body. I have this arm under control from the shuck and the sprawl. I want to go here, dive this hand inside, back of my hand toward the back of his head, tuck my head, back step here, come around here and apply the choke by pushing this hand down to the floor this way and pulling that way to finish the choke nice and tight, taking out all the slack. The next that we looked at was whenever we get into this position, he turtled and I didn't have that same grip established initially.
And one of the things you were using to help make that grip was the strikes. Mm-hmm. As he striked with the knee or the punch, it brought the arm into position to help make it appropriate for him to do the last move he just did.
That tends to be a very effective form of striking on the ground because certain positions you may not be able to cause enough damage to incapacitate the person or cause significant damage, but you're at least going to get their attention a lot of the time to where you can open and close spaces. So if we get into this position here and I've landed in a different kind of quadrant of his body where that choke isn't available, I don't have the wrap yet, and I do have a good enough position though to where I can maybe do something else. So this is again a good striking position for me, possibly here like this. I have elbows here, knees, different strikes that we can do. But if I want to try to maybe incapacitate him in a different way without having to cause much damage to him or myself and take too long, then I can look to get inside that collar grip here and then look to try to grab here on the pant if it's available. If not, maybe look to grab some other material inside of his arm over here or the other collar. I just have to be careful that he doesn't roll me over. Once I grab here and here this way, we're going to look for that clock choke. Again, with the clock choke, I'm posting the foot out here in front. I'm going to take my head over that direction, sliding my ribs up toward the back of Jared's neck, here this way, and then push my head to the floor. My elbow is coming here behind my back, like that, and I'm expanding my chest this direction, making sure that as I do that, I don't lean back too far and allow him to posture up or roll me.
You have to figure that in a street self-defense type scenario, the guy's less likely to, when he's turtled up, just try to protect his neck, right? Mm-hmm. So when he lands down like this, he's almost looking up and it exposes the neck to make this type of choke a very likely and plausible.
Especially if we initiated the takedown. Mm-hmm. Whatever you do to the person, they try to respond in opposition. Whenever you take away from the person, they try to get back. In the case of me taking the person down, a lot of times in street fights, the person tries to get right back up out of position, especially if their back is exposed and they feel very vulnerable like that. Now, we also talked about from here, if maybe this position is, I'm front facing, I didn't necessarily get the grip that I wanted that way, but I'm also wanting to look, maybe he doesn't even have grips that I can use. Maybe this jacket's not available or he has a thin shirt, but I have a jacket this time. If I have this material that we can make use of from here, then I can use my own end of my skirt of my jacket like this, and I can punch this underneath by Jared's neck. What's happening with my other arm is I'm underneath on this side. I'm passing this to this hand over here. Once we get here, I scoop in, pass it, get a hold of my own material. I want to shoot forward so that I get access to this hamstring, stepping over the back of Jared's neck this way. Once I let the other leg fold around, step over his back, and then I'm gonna pull this direction. Now, this material here is wrapped around his neck, and it's a very tight choke, similar to a Peruvian necktie. Somebody who's a master of this choke is a judoka named Yarden Gerby, and you should see how she applies this in judo competition, expertly puts people to sleep all the time.
One of the things he's doing right there with this, you just want to note the way he's gripping the zipper right there. It's kind of thumb back towards him. It's not thumb away to be coming.
This is coming here. This one is under Jared's arm. This is the part that's going around his neck. My thigh, or my hamstring rather, is over the back of his neck, causing a lot of pressure that way. It's a really tight, really fast choke. One more that we want to look at in this position. Again, lots exist here, but this is these are good for different considerations as far as the space that's allowed on him. When we get here in this position, if he's really tightly turtled up, I've really got him to cover and he's really shrinking all that space inside. This is one here where I don't necessarily have to get underneath any of these spaces. I can go grab straight inside the back of his collar, which usually will have space. Again, after maybe I've thrown my strikes here to close up those spaces effectively. I get here 1 and 2, I come back and try to grab at the waistline of his pants. And then I'm gonna step, pop up, put my hamstring on the back of his neck like the previous choke. But this time here, when I get here, I pull, roll Jared over this direction. This leg comes back, hooks his arm so he doesn't have this one to defend with. I wanna tuck my head down so if this one comes in to try to hit or anything, it's hitting the top of my head and it's not gonna be as effective at causing damage. While he's doing that, he's not protecting his neck, and I can get this far side collar. Now I can sprawl out here this way, keeping my neck and face fairly protected from my other hand in the time that it takes me to execute this paper cutter style choke. If we get here and I'm shallow, and I've made my elbow all the way to the floor on this choke and it's still not enough pressure, I can raise my elbow up here this direction, stretching his neck and causing a tighter choke even.
Making it miserable on your partner.
Absolutely.